Hi, my name's Jeff Rhodes, and this is another video about the Power Platform based on my book, Creating Business Applications with Microsoft 365. And we're going to continue a series of having the same app, a training registration app, in different environments. In this one, we're going to look at model-driven app with Dataverse. So first, let me give a shout out if you haven't seen this video from Lisa Crosby on building model-driven apps. I highly recommend it. I went through it myself, and because most of my background's in Canvas and SharePoint apps, even though on the work side, we've done a lot of model-driven apps, and but on my things I do for this channel, it's all been on the Canvas. So hope this is useful to you. So let's kind of review what we've done so far. So I have done a series of apps. We started with SQL Server, then we did a training app with SharePoint, and then a user registration app in SharePoint. We'll come back to another video on doing that with Dataverse, and then I'll follow it up with some Power BI where we'll jump in. So speaking of Power BI, let's jump over to that for a minute, just so it's a nice way in its model view to look at what we're trying to do. So this is SQL Server. I had a similar one in the last video about SharePoint, and then we're going to build this in Dataverse. So what I've got, if we kind of look, the ultimate thing we're trying to get is a course sign-up table. So I've got an attendee who signs up for a course, and it's got a date that we sign up and some notes. And this is where we're linking in. So the attendee has a separate attendee table normally. When we get to Dataverse, we're going to use the users table instead. And then we've got a course table. And very specifically, we've got a capacity in that course. And so we're trying to make sure we're not over capacity, and that's got some additional logic in that people aren't signed up twice for the same course and taking 2 slots and that kind of thing. And then we're linking in the instructor for the course. And so when we get to Dataverse, we're going to use our contacts table for that. So that's kind of where we're going. So before we go too far, let me show you what we did in SharePoint, just to kind of give you a big picture. And this is a Canvas app, and we built this a couple of videos ago. So you've got, you can add instructors, you can add or edit courses, attendees, and then most importantly, we've got this, not sure where that error is, something hasn't loaded yet. I don't want to turn off this Copilot, but you can come in and you can see, so like this particular one, there's 0 slots available. And so if I go to edit, it's okay because I'm already editing with that person's already registered. But if I try to change it, notice I say there is no slots available. Please try another course. And if I tried to register somebody where if I tried to add a new one and register again, then it would say you're already registered for this course. So that's kind of what we want. It turns out when we're in Dataverse that we'll actually come back and put in a Canvas page to get this functionality, because at least I couldn't find a good way to build this in the model driven. So that's where we're going. What I want to start with is making a new environment, because I did that in the videos environment, and I know from personal experience you don't want to put multiple model driven apps in the same environment unless all the tables are the same. But don't put 2 different apps in there, because they'll be sharing data, and then it's very difficult to split those out. So since I've already done it, I can't really recreate and do it again in the same environment. So I'm going to go to a new environment, and I'm going to call it registration video. And I don't want to make it a managed environment, because then I wouldn't be able to, I'd have to use pipelines and stuff, which are great, but that's not what I'm covering here. But I'm going to make it a developer environment. And one reason I really haven't done much Dataverse stuff is until they did these developer environments, it would cost money, because it's basically every user of your app, by the way. One reason when you decide whether you use SharePoint and Canvas or to use Dataverse, the minute you use Dataverse, and you can need a per user or per app license. So you're talking $20 per user per month is rough numbers. And that's every one of your users. But at that point, whether it's model driven or Canvas, it doesn't matter. You still got to pay. So many times you want to go ahead and use the model driven. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to save. And I'm going to pause for a minute because it can take a second. Oh, actually didn't take too bad. Let's go see if I can go to the settings yet. So no, I'm going to pause for a minute because there's some settings that I want to set. Now I got to wait for it to go. All right, so I'm back and it's ready to go. So let's go to the settings because there's a couple things that I want to do in here. So I'm going to go to the product and go to features. And I want to make sure the Copilot's on there, but I want to turn on Dataverse search. So that's all the ones so far that I need. And then I notice when you hit save, it kind of doesn't go back anywhere. It just kind of grays out. So you got to go up one level. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn on the audit log just in case I need that. That's a good idea because you're more elaborate and intense applications that probably need auditing. You're probably going to want those turned on as well. And so let's go over. I'm going to leave these two here. So I've got another Power Apps tab. So I'm going to reload that. And the thing about model driven is that you spend most of your time really setting up the tables. And so that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to switch my environment, see if that registration video shows up. There you go. I want to put all this inside a solution. And I'll just call it training registration. I'll just take the default publisher for now. So what we want to start with is our tables. And you might remember I have 4 tables, but 2 of those tables I can reuse from out inside Dataverse. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add existing tables. And first I'll do the contact. You might remember I said that one's going to be our instructors, with the idea the contacts can have anybody and the instructors may not be in our organization. So I'm going to say include all objects and add. And then this one got me for a minute because I want to do, whoops, oh sorry, this isn't what I wanted. Go back, sorry, I wanted to add existing table. And I want to use user, but if I do that, it's not there, which is a bit odd. Oh, actually it is, sorry. I said to scroll down, but if you're scrolling down, you don't see it, and you have to keep saying add the next 100. So there's lots of them there, but it was actually there if I scroll down and search. And the idea is I'm going to use that user table for my attendees, because all my people, I'm assuming they're in Active Directory or Intra ID, so I can go ahead and use it there. And you'll see Lisa's video, she did Intra ID instead of user, and that worked out well too. I just thought I'd do it a little differently. And what I'm going to do to keep these straight is I'm going to rename these. So rather than calling it contact, I'm going to go ahead and call it attendee. And then it makes the plural be attendees. Then if I look down at schema name, it still says contact and so forth, but that's okay. And then I can edit these. This is already here. I could turn on auditing, but I don't need to do it at this level. And appear in search results is already there, so that's great. Oh, and actually I've named that correctly after I said that. So let me try it again. Actually, that's supposed to be instructor. But luckily, I can change the display name. Again, actually, I'll change this and I'll say training instructors. And my users are the ones that I want to make the attendee. So let's go to that one. And I'll just say training attendees. And I want to build these first so that I can link to them. So I'm going to go back one level. And I'm just going to say publish all customization. So it's effectively just like a saving, so that when I go in my next step and do a lookup column, these will show up. So we'll give that just a second. All right, now that we have that, we'll go back to tables. And we want to build our courses table next. So we'll start from, moved on me, start from blank. And I'm going to call this course. And so it says courses and so forth. Might as well just set some advanced. Oh, we can't really do too many advanced options yet. So we'll just save that. And then this will be our primary column here. So I'm just going to call it course name. And it needs to be single line of text. We'll get back to this later when we get to the next table. And so, and it gives us a schema name. Now we could change it right now there before we create it if we wanted to. So that's okay. And then I'm going to create the rest of the column. So I'm going to go ahead and do one of them. I'm going to do this course start date time just so you can see how to do the date time. And then I'll pause and do the rest. So I'm going to say date and time because it does matter in this case, the date. And we want this to be required. So I'll pause here and then we'll come back when I've had all of them done except for the instructor because I'll want you to see that. All right, so I've added a course description. That was multi-line, course end date time, another date and time. And we did course location. Right, get that to scroll very well, can't we? And then I've got a course capacity, which is a whole number. And you might remember from our design, we also had an instructor. So we put that in. And this is where we're linking between tables. So we make this a lookup required. And then, for whatever reason, I'm not seeing that table. Thought when I published that I would actually see that. So we'll cancel up here and save and come back into it and see if then we don't need this message anymore. So we'll be back shortly. All right, so we're back in here and I just saved. And now let's try it again. So we'll go in and we'll edit table and then try again. We'll say new column, instructor, lookup, business required. And then now we get a whole big list of them. So remember what we want is the instructor table that we rename. So should show up there. There we go. And that's all we need to do. So that will link the two of those together. So let's add another table. Actually, I'm going to do it this way because the advanced property gives me a little bit more of what I want to do. So I want to call this course sign up. And what I want to do is go to primary column here. And see, notice how it says name. So quick shout out, another person from Colorado Springs, David Yak. I found his video who talked about this to make sure that if you don't want it to be called name, to go, this is your one chance to change the schema name by coming out here. And I don't really want it because I don't really have a name here. I'm doing a sign up. So what I'm going to do is call this sign up. I'll say course sign up number, like that. And I'm going to leave it as text now, but I'll be able to edit it after I save the table. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that there for now. Let's see if we have any advanced options I want to do. Yeah. So it gives us some things we want to do. So I'll go ahead and turn on audit. And we're not going to do an activity here, but or actually on this, yeah, we do. I want to put the creating a new activity, which allows us to associate emails and notes, phone calls and stuff with it, which is pretty cool. All right, I will save there. Okay, so we can add the rest of our columns then. So let's click on columns, and we've got that sign up number. So let's deal with that one first. And what we want to do is change this. We only have single plain text or auto number, but we want to go ahead and have auto number. It's important we don't have business required because we actually don't want to have to set that. It'll be set automatically when we save the record. And so what I'm just going to do is just put for SU here for sign up, and you get an idea how it's going to look. So that gives us a better primary key than just a name that really doesn't match for this kind of thing. So let's go ahead and do our two lookup columns. So like we did before, we're going to do course, and we'll do lookup, and that'll be required. Oops. And obviously we're going to link to the course table. And again, that is like the related, primary key, foreign key kind of thing. And then we'll do another one for attendee. Look up. Shouldn't be too far down here. There we go. And then the last one we have is just some notes. And actually, I guess I'll put the sign up date on there too. Because on the other solutions, I didn't use the created on. So might as well, but I'll just say the date only is all we need. And it's simple. So we'll save that. And then we'll do a sign up notes. And then we want multiple lines of text. I'll make it plain text. And that is optional, so they don't have to put any unless they want. All right, let's go up one level. Let's go to properties. Just make sure, I think I did all that already, but let's just make sure it's got everything we want. Go to the advanced one. Yeah, we got the audit changes. get rid of duplicates. Creating a new activity is already there. Appear in search results. So it looks like we're good there. Oh, actually, I want to make sure that we're doing quick view. Yeah, quick create forms if available. So we'd like to have that also, at least on the courses and on the course sign up. So let's go look and see if we did it on the courses. Oh, we want to do audit changes there. So we got the quick create form, and we don't need the activities. Notice there was a choice there for like SharePoint documents. This is where you could add attachments. You can have associated SharePoint site and so forth, which is nice. Many of these systems need documents as well. All right, let's go look at the course for a minute because I want to talk about views while we're here. So I can click on views here, and we have active courses. And what we'd really like is when we click on a course in the view, we can see the signups for it. So let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to click on this view, and we're going to edit it as well. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the created on date. And it looks like it got everything else, but it didn't put the instructor in there for whatever reason. So I can add the column and bring this over. Oops. Didn't quite move how I wanted it. There you go. So I'll just move it that far. Kind of got a little bit of a screen real estate thing. So let's see if we can move it there. And I'll save that. But the other thing I want to do is this has a grid. We don't have any data yet, so we can't really see it. But we want to set up a power grid, a power apps grid as well. So I say add a component, and then it's got a couple grids already, or a couple controls already. But if I search for power apps, I can grab the power apps grid control. And then I click on that, and then I click the table. So I'm going to want to go to our course signups. In the view, it should be an active course signups. And then the column that we want to link to is course. So we should be able to take the rest of that. So we'll check that out later. So I'll save and publish. All right, so let's go back. Or actually, sorry, I wanted to stay in there. And what we want to do is, while we're here, is go ahead and do a couple more views. So I'm going to save the active courses and call it future courses. And this will just help us because inside the model-driven app, you can change the views fairly easily. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So we can come over here and we can say edit filters. So we're already filtering if it's active. But what we also want to do is only get the courses that are in the future. And it wasn't obvious at all on how to do this. So I found something online. So we're going to add a group and change it as or. And what we want to do is we want the, I'm not sure why I don't see the course start date. Let me pause for a minute because I'm not seeing the date I expected. All right, well, I had to pause for a second because I didn't actually have the ability to select the column I wanted. So I'm going to cancel out of this for a minute and show you what I changed. So let's go back. It turns out that the column needs to be searchable. So I guess when I was working this earlier, I had done that, but I didn't do it by default. So anyway, I'm in course, and if I go to columns, I went to this course start date time and click on it here. and this searchable box wasn't checked, and so it didn't show up as the ability to filter on it. So I learned something new, so that's what I changed since I paused. So let's come back to the view and go back to that. Let's see. So I'm going to go to Future Courses, Edit. Filter by. And then I wanted to add the group with OR. And what we want to do is we're just going to check each of these. And notice now I have this course start date, time. And what I wanted to do is just say greater than or equal to now, or greater than now, the current date and time. But doesn't have that, so I had to search for some things. But this is the best, I found this online. So that's why we have the OR. So if any of these is the case, so we can just say today. So if the course date time today, it'll be in there. And then we can just add row. So each one of these will do the course start date time. And what they have is the next X days. And I didn't really find the documentation, but this is how the person did it. So I'm taking that when we say next year, it starts a year out. So I can say the next days, 365. And so if it's either today or in the next 365 days, it'll show up. Or we can say the next X years. And then they just put 100. So I guess I figure after 100 years, this system will be obsolete anyway. So that shows you how you can do a view. So we'll do a variation of that. We'll just do the past courses as well and just save this one as the other one. So let's come in there. Now we've done it. We can save as, and we'll just call it past courses. And then all we have to do, we remove the today. And we just say this is, instead of the next X days, we say the last X days. And the next X years is the last X years. 100. And save. So again, we don't have any data, so we can't really test it yet. But that's how we can do that. All right, let's see if we go back. All right, so the next thing we want to do is make some quick view forms so we can show those out inside of other forms. So it's kind of cool. So I'll start with the course where we are. So I'm going to come over here to forms, and you see the main form is the one that will end up showing in the application. But I can say new form here, and I can say quick view, and I'm just going to call it courses quick view. And all you do is just pick the columns that you want to show up. So in this case, it's pretty much all of them, but and it looks like it suggested ones for me already. So it looks like I got the course name, instructor, start date, end date, and it did the description. It didn't add the location and the capacity, which I do want. Oh, there it is. So I can just click it. So I can just drag capacity down here. I wonder why that says course L. I wonder if I messed that up when I was typing. I'm going to go ahead and add it here. Like that. Let's save and publish. I could move those in order, but that looks decent. Actually, I might move that up so that it's after instructor. Like, oops. Oh, and then the other thing you can do, on these is we can hide the label because I'm going to be putting this in where it's obvious that it's a course. And so I can hide it there. So let me save and publish. And I'm going to go look at that course L and see if I need to rename that. So I won't change the schema if I've done it already, but that's okay. So let's go back to course and go to columns. Yeah, sure enough. So this was supposed to be course location. Probably noticed that earlier. You can see I remembered it there. So I'll save it so I can fix it. Shouldn't have too much permanent problems there. All right, so let's go to the rest of our ones. I go to attendee. Remember, I brought that over. That's actually our user form, but I can come here. So it's got a bunch already, but I'm going to say a new quick view form. I'm just going to call it attendee quick view. And there's a whole lot of stuff here, so I want to make sure I don't really want AI suggestions anyway, because I want to have, and I can search. I want first name. I want last name. If I just click on it, it actually puts it over there. So that's a little quicker than dragging. Let's see if I can get organization. I actually had some problems when I was doing this before. It didn't seem to like organization for whatever reason, but not terribly. Mail. Oh, primary email, that's what I want. And then I can put mobile phone. So that'll be fine. Again, I'll hide the label. I can always bring it back if I want it to be there. Save and publish. All right, we'll go back. So we've got attendee and course. Let's do course sign up. Quick view form. There we go. Yeah, so it looks like it did stuff decently. I'm going to move the course up, move the attendee up. Notice with the notes I can come over here and give us, thought I'd get to give me a little more height, but oh, that's because looks like the sign up notes is saying single line of text. So let's save and publish for now. Looks like I need to edit that. So kind of the way as you're going along, you can find some of these things as you're developing. So let's go back to columns. Sign up notes. Oh, it says multiple line of text there. So I thought I did that. I don't actually see it here, but on the column there, where was it? It says multiple lines of text there. So, not entirely sure why it didn't put the other one on, but we won't worry about it too much. So let's go back to our rest of our tables here. And we'll go to instructor, forms. Oops, sometimes it does that. I think I click on forms, but then it thinks it was a dashboard instead. So, and it's got lots of quick views, but I'm just going to do the one so I can find it. I'm just going to call it instructor quick view. So I don't really want middle name, so I'll delete that. Whoops, actually it selected all this stuff, so it wasn't quite what I wanted. I don't really, well, I can leave job title and mobile phone. I'll leave manager on there. Fine, let's just put first. I'll see if I can put that at the top there. Last. There, that'll work. Let's see if it has like a organization. Let's try that. There we go. And again, I'll hide the label on the section. Save and publish. All right, we'll go back. So that sets up our quick view forms. All right, so let's move into our main form. So we'll go into tables and let's do the course sign up first. So if we go to forms, then we want to go to this information, this main form. And notice we can look at it in different aspect ratios and so forth. But let's zoom that up a little bit. And so first thing we want to do is add to the main part that we have. So it just put owner in there now. So we'll, and the course sign up number. So we're going to do other things we want. So we want to have course. And we want attendee. I'm going to actually put attendee at the bottom, which you'll see in a minute. So I'll move those around, do the sign up date, and sign up notes. Let's see if that one has multiple. Oh yeah, there we go. So we got a little, can do like 3 rows there, because so we have some additional time. So I'm going to move attendee at the bottom, because what I want to do, and then what I want to do is I want to see more information about the attendee. So we can go components here, and then just search for quick. Yeah, so we can do a quick view there, and I'm going to look up attendee. And I'm going to use that attendee quick view that we did before. So when they pick the attendee, it'll show the extra information there. So that works out pretty well. And then what we want to do here is I want a 3-column tab. And I always kind of forget exactly how to do this one. Yeah, so I actually need to come and go to this general tab is what I want. And I want 3 columns instead of just the 1. So that one's all set up. And then in the second one, I want to go ahead and just name that course. And then I want to do the quick view again. And drag that in there. And this one's going to be the course. And it'll be the course quick view form. There we go. And now it says all the stuff about the course. Oh, it's funny, it didn't pick up that course location. So hopefully after we publish and all that, it won't say course L anymore. And then this one, we want to do and put a timeline in there. And that's where we can do like the email and stuff. So it won't totally be set up yet. And we'll, since it already says timeline, we'll hide a label there. So let's save that and publish. So that'll give us, actually I'm going to move this owner down. I don't really care about that very much. So I'm going to put that at the far bottom there. There we go. And I might even, I think I might go ahead and move the sign up date, the sign up notes. Maybe I'll put the sign up notes at the bottom too, because there we go. That's not all that important, but I want to put the attendee quick view next to the attendee is kind of where I was going. So we'll save that and publish. And then now let's go look at the course form. That's the other main one we want to deal with. So I'm going to go tables, course, forms, and go to the main one here. Looks like it. I'll make that a little bit bigger. So again, I'll move the owner to the bottom. And they didn't put on instructor, so I need instructor. I'm going to move that up a little bit, very much like we did with the attendee. But we got the course start time. I'll put those together. So I'll put the end time. Maybe I'll move the description there, location, capacity. And then we'll, it's like we did before, we'll come up here and do the quick view and put it right below instructor. And we'll do instructor and do that instructor quick view. And save and publish. All right, let's see how we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the solution here, go to all, and let's go ahead and publish and see how far we got. So I'm going to go new app, model driven app, and I'll just call it training registration. See if there's any advanced settings I want. No, so we're going to say create. All right, and then we get this screen. I may go ahead and put a space in there so it looks a little better. I can give it a default or a different icon. We're going to do that a little bit on the left side here. So I'm going to say add a page, and we just want Dataverse table. So it actually gave you the list of the ones that we have, but we're going to search. Find the search here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So we want course and course sign up, and we want attendee because there's a whole bunch of tables, so we don't want to grab all the other ones. And we have instructor, and we want to say show in navigation because that's how we actually get to those. And then we want to click on this group, and we just want to call this, I'm just going to say registration. And then we can put these in the order we want. And we just say move up. So I'm going to put instructors first. And then I'm going to put courses. And then attendees. And then course signups. And then the other thing we can do is we can change these icons if we want, so let me try to do that. go over to settings here. And then we can use web resources, and it gives us a list of them. So I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time, so I'm just going to pick that one for course. And then the sign-ups, I'll do the same kind of thing. See if I can find one that looks decent. Kind of loads more as you go down. The one I was looking at for was a little more to the back, bottom of the list here. Oops. There we go. This will work. All right, and we can go ahead and play it. Let's save and continue. We want to save and publish first and then play. So very much like we do with the Canvas apps, we can get away with just playing right away, but we got to publish first. And now we can play. So let's just see what it looks like right out of the box. So we don't really, it's funny, when I did this before, I actually got some sample data, but that's okay. We can put some in there. So let's just try it. So we're going to say new, and remember I have my instructors, so I'll take Paul McCartney, and we'll call him songwriter. And notice it has the timeline thing, and they gave us, this is kind of more than we want to know, but I'm just going to say Paul McCartney. I don't really care about the rest of that. Watch if I save, then this timeline comes over here, and I actually could add an email and a phone call, and it's one of the best parts about the model-driven apps is that it stores all that in the record, so I can go back and see all that. So I can say, hey, I called Paul and see if he wanted to teach, and here's what they said, and so forth. So I'll go ahead and close that. Notice that this is that view that we can come in. So let's add another. Let's do Sammy Hagar, another guy I like a lot, and we're going to call him Singer. And again, I'll do all right, so we'll save and close. Gives us a couple of those. And we can do a course. So we're just going to call it Singing 101. And I'll skip the description, but I can put the date here. So I'll just put it for start at 8 a.m. Maybe make it a whole week. We'll go to 4 p.m. I'm going to say 5F11. And I'm going to need this capacity pretty small. So I'm actually going to make it like 1 here. And then what I really like, notice that it just gives us the instructors that we did. And I can even do a new instructor right there. So I'm going to say Paul McCartney here, and notice that quick view that I gave in there. So let's save, and I can do new, and I'll do guitar 101. Going to do another one. Let's call this as a 1-day course. So I'll do it to 4. Maybe I'll put this in Lectin R1, and we'll say course capacity there is 3. And I'll grab, I forget who did my other one. I'll do Sammy there. All right. So this is where model-driven apps work really well. In attendees, I only have one user inside here, but I should be able to grab some other kind of, support users and things like that. But this primarily would just be, but if I had a full, company, this would be all the people already in there that I do. Now let's go look at the course. So I don't have any signups here, but I can say new. And again, I don't add that. So I put today's date and I pick the singing, and yeah, let's search for attendees. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. There's some built-in users. So I'm going to add myself, but for the next one, you'll see I can add like a support group or something. But there's that where it loaded up the note or the user there, and I can say, some notes here. And notice the course information kind of shows if I wanted to see some of the additional information. And I'm not sure let's save, and then hopefully that timeline will show up. It looks like it came below just because let me try zooming out a little bit. Yeah, so now that I went and zoomed out a little bit, I can get the timeline on the right here. So I could add like a phone call, for example, and put something in there and say, test or check if available. And I could call to and put in a phone number or whatever. So I can save. I got to say, there we go. And I can go back here, and you see now I have a timeline of information. So all this is great. What it doesn't do that I really wanted, though, is it doesn't have any way to keep me from putting two people in on the same course, or having, it's not checking my capacity in any kind of way. So I'm just going to close that. And we'll go back here. So I'm going to jump over to my solution that I already had, mainly because I played around, but it wasn't anything particularly useful. So I did do a process because I thought, because there is a business process flow that's kind of cool, and you see that in Lisa's video where you first do step 1 and step 2 and step 3, and most of the model-driven apps I've been associated with do that. And one of the things, it's kind of loading here, so I'll leave it. I'm also going to need to do a flow, because I tried jumping into Power. I thought it might work to kick off a Power Automate flow and have that check, see if the user's already signed up and so forth. But the problem is, at least in today's one, it doesn't appear to be any way to get information back out of the flow. So it's fine if you try to go ahead and edit it, or kick off like an email or Teams chat or something, but actually trying to return a value back to the process doesn't really do much. Looks like it's still loading there, but let me see if I can show you the flow real quick. And again, just so it's clear, this is not one I'd recommend because it didn't really work, but just thought you might be interested in the thought process. So it looks like it's taken a second to load. So I'll pause for a minute. Oh, there it went. So the way you kick it off, and we'll see what this process, you do it from a flow step. And then I could get the row by ID based on which stage we're on. So that was okay. And then I wanted to come in and read the capacity. So I wanted to read the course, because remember I have the course ID in essence, but I want to read the course table to see what the capacity was. So that's what we did there. And then I go ahead and set a variable of the capacity where I just grab the first entry, because it theoretically could add more than one course, and then I convert it to an integer. And then I have a slots. Oh, sorry, I got to jump here. Then I looked for the signups to see, okay, how many people are signed up for this particular course already, and my slots taken is the length of that. So I just take the length of the output, and then now I have enough to do the math. So I can subtract the capacity, or from the capacity, the slots taken, and that tells me the slots that are available. And then, so that gives me all that part. And then the second one is I look and see if the attendee has already signed up for that course. And if so, it would tell you whether they've already registered. Problem was, again, that it never came back and showed us. It didn't have any way to send that information back. So let me pause for a minute. I never got to load the process. I'll see if I can refresh. Yeah, I worked to refresh that. So I didn't get that far because I got hung up on this thing. But the gist of it is that you can come in here on this process and do this flow step. And that's what's going up over here. So you can do the flow step. And then the idea would be that we would give them a message and tell them that we weren't going to proceed because they were already registered. So again, that turned out not to work. So since that didn't work, what we want to do is actually add a custom Canvas page. And when I had it all in one solution, so you can see if I go to apps here, I have the one that's closest is this SharePoint training course signups that we looked at earlier. And when I did the new app, I was able to copy that over and just kind of change that one page over and change the references. When I just tried it, that doesn't work now that I went to a new environment. So there's no easy way to copy and paste that. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and do a separate video because this is already getting kind of long here. So let me tee up that for a second though. So if I publish my thing, so we already looked at the model-driven app, and this is the one, my sample that I built, but basically the same as I had, but I added another page here called sign up. So we'll build that in the next video. So it's similar to some of our other things, but notice I was able to get, let's see if I can zoom out a little bit, because yeah, there we go. So you can see I have my sign up number. I've got my slots available. And so if I try to edit that and pick a different attendee, say the AI Power Builder, say there's no slots available. And so I can cancel out of that. Or let's see, I'm already in Singing 101. So if I say new and I try to pick a class, a choice, Singing 101, and pick myself, it'll say I'm already registered for the course. And in both of those cases, disable. So we'll go into in the next video because I'll have to rebuild that from scratch, but it will be useful to see kind of how we did it and with the various galleries and so forth. So if you don't need that part though, everything we did today, like I said, here's the course signups that has a nice view, and we didn't actually get to look at that yet. So let's look. That was whoops, not that part. Actually this is just a normal kind of view. Actually, I wanted to show you in the courses was that Power Apps grid view I was talking about. So it'll come in and you can expand it and see how you can see the people who are signed up for that particular course. So that's kind of cool. But in any event, yeah, so if we come back over here, if we didn't need that special logic to figure out on the capacity and whether they're already registered, then we could use just the built-in one where we come in here and we sign up and we have the timeline and so forth. So hope that was helpful. I'll end it now, kind of a marathon video already, and look forward to doing the next video where we'll do that custom Canvas page. Until then, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next video.